That's what I say, there's not a lot of
You should have had some words.
Where's
Scott McNeil, guys. Scott McNeil. Scott, welcome to the Brent Miller Voice Show. We're in Scott's Zen garden. I must say, you can't see everything around here, but he actually has a palm tree right there, which doesn't actually exist in Vancouver.
They do so.
Well,
I take pictures of palm trees here because I show them to people in the States that think I live in a frickin' igloo. And people go, what's it like living in an igloo? I go, this is Vancouver.
Yeah.
We're not like the rest of Canada. We're different.
No, but I've never seen a palm tree here before.
Welcome to Botany 101.
Yes, high five.
Hi.
All right.
Woo! This is my first Slurpee of the year.
Cheers. Probably the most important question of this.
Is that camera going to be there on the day? Because it's really distracting.
Hey, put your Slurpee on my chair. That's mine. It's my space. Why does Nadakhan wear a belt when he doesn't even wear pants?
Like, that's probably the best question I've ever been asked.
Why is he wearing a belt?
You know, you're asking me to answer the untangible, the unanswerable questions, the great mystery of the universe.
Why are you not on social media?
I have a Facebook.
What?
Yes.
Facebook's so 20 years ago, man. Nobody does
Facebook.
Dude,
you should see my MySpace. It's awesome.
Do you know who does Facebook? Soccer moms.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's where I meet all my soccer moms.
This is a privilege for me to sit down with you because you're kind of like this, the infamous
crazy,
Scott McNeil.
Elusive hermit is what he is.
The elusive.
He's a recluse.
So now that
he hasn't been seen in daylight for almost 30 years. Some say
he's hanging out with this palm tree in the backyard. Why no social media?
Because I'm really awful at it.
That's it?
I do have my Facebook page, and but I've got like my 5,000 Facebook friends, and all of whom failed to come over for my birthday party. Thanks a lot, guys. I had punch and pie, and it was just me and the cat, and 5,000 little paper plates.
Yeah, I didn't come because I'm not on Facebook.
Well, yeah, because you're too cool for Facebook.
It's 20 years ago. By the way, I got in trouble from people for saying that Karlof was a villain. But he started as a villain.
He started as a villain.
So I said he's played 4 awesome villains, and people were like, "Karlof's not a villain." Well, he was, but he started. He was cast as a villain. So to me,
he's like Worf on Star Trek. Star Trek. God, that is so last
20 years ago. Just like Facebook. Facebook is totally gonna kill me on this video. Who's your favorite of the 4?
Honestly, probably the Overlord. Just because he was. And this is an actual sort of normal, because I don't watch the show, I don't watch TV. But I did a little research, and I started looking at stuff.
Yeah.
And Overlord was cool. But and he went through a whole bunch of different changes, too.
He did?
I mean, not only was, now you're the digital Overlord. Now you've killed you off. Now you're the ethereal Overlord.
Yes.
But even just vocally, I mean, initially it was, it was all up in this weird high shirt. But then, buddy, it was cool, he was fun, and he evolved, and he changed.
Oh, they were just so
Mind you, I also am having a ball with Nadakhan.
They were so mad at you right there?
Why?
Because you started to do the wispy one, and then you did like 2 seconds of the deeper one, and all of them are saying, do more, do more!
I like Nadakhan right now, too, because he's fun. He's a juicy villain.
How did you come up with that voice?
And suggestions, they went, try this, try this, try this, and one of them was, try sort of a Spanish accent, Castilian Spanish. And that's the one that felt right for me. I looked at the picture of the character and I went, I want him to sound like this, because he has got to have this beautiful, for I am edgy. Your wish is yours to keep. And wish is such a great word to say.
Yeah, with that voice, yeah. That's a cool voice.
It's a sexy voice, too.
It is sexy.
I get $3.99 a minute for that on phone stuff.
If you were to be one of the ninja, like the main ninja, who would you have liked to have played?
Oh, yeah. I've played a lot of women in cartoons.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when they say, hey, we need a couple of girls in the city to scream, I'm like, oh, please, because I have my girly scream that I want to.
And you play a girl Tuesdays, Thursdays, and 2 shows on Sunday? Bacon.
Scott, in every picture of you I've ever seen, you're wearing a cowboy hat.
I don't wear cowboy hats.
Is this a coincidence, or is it a constant part of your ensemble? And do you own more than 1 cowboy hat, and if so, how many? Is there a reason for always wearing a cowboy hat? And to clarify, I genuinely like your hats.
I wear this because I actually have no top to my head.
Oh,
horrifying weed whacker accident.
Yeah.
It took off the top of my head. but I'm okay now. My hat does come off. I'm not totally bald. So I bought it and I started wearing it I wore it to a convention, and then it became a thing.
This is years ago.
Yeah, this was, decades ago.
Yeah.
This is like when Facebook was really huge. This is version 3.0. Version 1.0 was worn to death. That's when it sort of was achieving its own status. So it became a little bit of branding. Like I could go to a con wearing a baseball cap and a ponytail and walk through the con, and people would kind of not notice, and then I would go put the gap on. And then I just went, you know what? I really like these hats.
I look pasty white, and you're like tan.
Yeah.
Went to broadcasting school. Most people don't know that. And I thought I was going to be a radio guy. Then I met David Kay, and I was doing all these cartoon voices, like for commercials. Second year we were running the station, and at the time, Beast Wars was out. Which Beasties, Beast Wars, whatever they call it, these.
Beast Wars to the rest of the world, beasties in Canada, because we can't say the W word in Canada.
That's so dumb.
Gumgolly Gorilla and Ratty and all their chums tonight on Beasties. Although our cut of the show was more violent than the American cut.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, our explosions were louder. There was little subtle things.
That's the show I knew you from. When I got into voiceover and found out that show, because David Kay came and he did Megatron's voice.
Yeah.
And I went, I have been studying that show. And I took him to lunch and said, how do I get into this business? And that started my journey. But when I met all you guys, I was like, these are the guys that I've been studying at home. And you did so many characters on that show.
There's 4, 5 really,
like,
but who's counting?
Let them know, because some of these guys might not know. Who are the main ones?
Insolent vermin. Perhaps you'd like me to take you out the old-fashioned way. Brutally!
You would like to see you try it there, Dino Boob. Or should I say, listen, I was, I know. Shut up, Brett Trip.
No more fighting. Gives Waspinator a headache. Waspinator get a headache in his whole body. Waspinator happy at last.
And, of course, Silverbolt, strong, proud, brave, and smart like a bag of hammers.
Very good.
Lucky,
Yeah,
I'll be here all
very
week.
good.
Hey, don't forget to try the shrimp.
On the Transformer Wiki. Did I say wiki? I don't know. I thought, memes? I thought were memes. No, memes are not memes. They're memes.
You accused me.
Wiki says you voiced Tarantulas.
I did not
At the end
voice
of season 1 for Beast Wars, filling in for Alec Willows. Is that actually true?
Not in anything that may have gone to tape that I can recall. Tarantulas was the creepiest voice in the world.
Yes, you had him.
Little laugh of his, and I used to stand right next to him in the studio. I felt like I needed a shower when we were done. According to the interweebs, I was also the voice of Snake in Metal Gear Solid. If so, I'm waiting for my residuals.
How does one do an evil laugh?
I tickle myself with a small feather. There's different evil laughs, There's the classic trifecta muhaha.
The move. Yeah.
And then this. It just, make them crazy as you can, then it tends to sound creepy. Or like some of the Nadakhan just chuckles.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesomely evil. Probably doesn't sound like much on this camera, but if you're sitting on a really good microphone, it makes your ears go thumpity.
Out of your characters you've done in Ninjago, which one are you most like?
Which one's Ninjago? I can tell you that right now. I'm most like Nadakhan. You want to know why? Because I'm not wearing pants.
That's disgusting.
I saw you looking.
Does it hurt your voice when you do the Overlord?
No. The only thing that I have ever done in my entire career that ever hurt my voice was briefly after Chris Latta passed away. I took over the role of Cobra Commander on G.I. Joe. But it's so high and so shredded and so loud.
Yeah.
But when I was going into audition for Beast Wars, I took that voice and then I dropped it by about 2 octaves.
Dinobot. It's the same placement. And just that, it's insanely high.
Who is your favorite character that you've ever voiced?
There was a sequel to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer called
Yeah, I was
Rudolph
in
and the
that
Island
show.
of Misfit Toys.
I had a small part in that show. That's actually right when I was breaking into the industry.
I got to be Hermie the Elf and Yukon Cornelius in that. Ever tell you about Bumbles? Bumbles bounce! That's right.
Not if you don't mind my being a
a dentist.
What voice direction were you given when doing the Ash Bear Growlock in Bionicle Mask of Light?
Sound more like an ash bear.
Okay, I was thinking you're a big ash bear.
You leave my bare ash out of this.
What are some shows you voiced on that you loved working on, but they're very obscure and rare that nobody would have ever heard about it?
Brain freeze. I did a show. No, that one didn't count because I got fired.
Which character do you feel that you played best? And
All of them, they were brilliant, brilliant acting, brilliant.
be the idea of Karlof's voice with the accent.
Probably because his name was Karlof.
Yeah.
They wanted, and they were specific with that too. We want him to be a big Russian guy, a big Eastern European. I was originally going to give him more of a Czech accent, but I just found that the deeper I was pushing the voice, the more it ended up becoming more Russian.
You were Grumpy Bear.
Frank dangling piddle butts. Cameras are awesome. My very first thing I ever did was the New Adventures of He-Man in 1988. And then in 2003 we did Masters of the Universe, where I was Beastman, Ram-Man, Stratos, Clawful, Cobra Khan, and Merman.
Holy smokes, cash those checks. What was it like voicing Dr. Willie and Proto Man in the Ruby Spears Mega Man cartoon?
What Brent meant to say was, what was it like voicing Dr. Wily and Proto Man on the
Dr. Wily.
on the Ruby Spears Mega Man? I love that show. We recorded that at Ocean, but there was a couple of different versions of it. And I played Wily in another version where he had a British accent.
Oh.
He was in this lovable Dr. Wily that I had to audition for again, and this time they decided they want him to be German. Or part of our plans to take over the world. Ian James Corlett, the lovely and talented Ian James Corlett, was to play Mega Man and Proto Man. But sort of in first episode of recording, they kind of went, ooh, sounds a little too much like it's the same guy.
Right.
So basically Proto Man was my impression of Ian doing an impression of me, doing an impression of Ian, doing an impression of Mega Man, doing an impression of his own brother, Proto Man.
Okay.
Yeah, nice one, Doc.
Of the Beast Wars 4 voices that you voiced, which one is your fave?
They were all very different. And they were all... that is my favorite show that I've ever worked on, by the way, and I'm very clear on that. It was an amazing show.
The animation was
groundbreaking. Like, the greatest compliment I ever get is when people go, that was all you? I was actually the very first person to ever die in a network cartoon.
Really?
To actually die. And that was a character called the Headman in G.I. Joe. And he died after a 3-story arc.
After 100 bullets going towards him, one finally hit.
He was this dealer that was getting everybody addicted to Spark. Yeah. Including one of the Joes, who I also played, Falcon. Or Falcon. Boy, we had a lot of debates on how to pronounce that one. The last shot is the Headman's hand sticking out of a pile of Spark, and it just says, drugs kill. And then when Dinobot died, I'm like, okay, so when does he come back? He's cartoon dead, right? It's like, no, Scott, he's dead. It's like, but he's like dead. No, you're dead. But then I watched the episode, and it's beautiful.
You're a gamer?
I'm a gamer. I have been playing World of Warcraft on a daily basis since vanilla. Brent, vanilla means when the game first came out.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I was cast as Duratan in the game.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind. Because, I'm down there recording in LA.
You had to go to LA for that?
Yeah. And I'm going, I'm a 30-year professional, veteran. I'm going to go into the studio and act like... I was on the floor giggling. Then I stopped playing the game because it was weird that I was in it.